I'm pressing live now. We are officially live. We are live, and we are live on BR Live, and we're gonna have, I reckon, concurrent viewers 3. I reckon it's gonna stick at that because as you know, if you are a fan of CrystalFissure, this is like the pre-show. You know that wrestling is why you're subscribed. All 31,000 of you. You all love wrestling. That's true. Wait, hold on. What was that my original uploads? Was it 2009 wrestling soundtrack? Was I playing Public Enemy? Was I copyright striking myself? Was that what I was doing back in the day? No, not at all. Oh. Oh, that's pretty good. 27 people. Ah, I see. All right, apparently I'm getting something with keyframes saying to... What should I do here? Stream. Maybe I can... 9 or 10, yeah. Yeah, of course. Appreciate bullshit. You know what? It actually is. It actually is. I remember playing it at my friend Dylan Vinyl's house. And I remember being like, I remember really enjoying it. And funnily enough as well, the robots... wait, what do you mean, who am I talking to? Oh, wait, you can't hear Angus? That's hysterical. That's absolutely hysterical. I'll fix that right now. I'm just talking to myself. Thank you, Amelia Cookle. Advanced. Wait, what? Ah.
What in here?
Devastating. There you go. There he is. So, what was that thing you want to say about FWA real quick?
Oh, nothing. No, it's great. Now there's half of a conversation you're having about FWA that no one knows about.
That's brilliant.
That's amazing.
Can you show us the monkey
That's
in
brilliant.
the background? I know, right? What a fucking legend. That's either pending names, Murphy, Val, for short for Valentino, Glenjamin.
Oh, well, CrystalFissure. Did Val do it his way?
He did it his way.
He did it his way.
That's
By the
him
way,
there.
do you know my favorite quote from the film Robots?
What?
So at the end, Rodney, is his name Rodney? Rodney, the guy, Ewan McGregor's dad, whatever his name is. He's like, I've invented a new genre of music. It's a combination of jazz and funk. I call it junk. Do you remember that?
I do.
Line? It's a fun genre of music. It's a good movie.
Yeah, actually, this is great.
Oh, River actually saw the show. Someone actually saw the show. I thought we were just going to be casting our thoughts off into the ether with no one who's
River, do we know each other here? I feel like you seem like familiar, but yeah. All right, 8 people. I reckon that's enough. We got one person that watched it. That to me is good enough to me.
That's a win. That's a win.
I take this as a certified win. All right, here we go.
Do the intro. Do the proper intro. Here we go.
Now that you are here. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's get this up going now, and it says stream status is poor, but you know what, you guys, it seems fine. So here we go. Hello everyone, CrystalFissure here, and welcome to a very special non-Spyro Enter the Dragonfly Reignited video. If you're one of the 20,000+ people that supported both of those videos, you are much appreciated. But here we are here to talk about something arguably even more important, and that is AEW Full Gear. And I'm here with my wrestling compadre, my fellow, we were going to train to be wrestlers but then gave up very quickly, partner in crime, Nintendogen64.
Yes, hello. I'm much glad that I was not training to become a wrestler, because after watching this show, I would probably quit wrestling training because it has blown me out of the water, and I would feel inferior because it was a very good show, I,
That's
I
right.
really,
And
really, really, really enjoyed Full Gear. In fact, we watch all the AEW pay-per-views, but only really this one has actually so far inspired me to say, let's do a podcast, let's give our thoughts, because it was very good.
yeah, and to add on that, yes, I could name within the Australian wrestling scene probably about 25 plus people that should hang up their boots right now, quit, never come back, permanently leave the industry. We'll get into that a little bit later. But it is definitely something that is worth discussing because a lot of stuff happened on this show that I think, yeah, it's worthy of analysis. It's worthy of discussion. And let's just jump like right into it, and then we can sort of maybe be a bit more specific about like the whole show as a whole generally. Let's just start straight with the pre-show and get straight into the pre-show match. Don't you reckon? Let's just jump in.
I think so. Let's talk about the pre-show match. It was a good match, a solid match.
It was really good. So it was the debut of Allysin Kay. You may know her as Sienna. Now, I know your girlfriend, Jess, who is a professional wrestler. She's a huge fan of Sienna. She cited that she was one of the first girls that she watched back when she was sort of getting into non-WWE wrestling. So that's interesting, isn't it?
That's correct.
And so, as I take my sip of my Diet Coke, so she is, I thought that a lot of the times with Allysin Kay, you hear a lot about her, but some people might make the argument that she's sort of, style over substance. Like sometimes, like she's just she's known because she's known. But
That's right. Yes, you couldn't really cite a good match of hers.
But this was good, and I mean, it seems like honestly, the common denominator here with these good matches is Serena Deeb. Like, holy shit! Like, what the fuck?
She's tremendous. I really, really rate her. I even liked her back in the dare I say it, the Straight Edge Society days back in whatever it was. And then I remember they brought her in for a Mae Young Classic, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. And I saw that, and she was very good there. And, I was
going to say, well, then she was released this year by WWE. She was a trainer, so she wasn't even really being considered as a, unfortunately, as a wrestling talent. She was just a trainer. That's how they viewed her.
Well, she is tremendous, and she's. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with her when they brought her in for that other match she had, the one on Dark. Remember that?
Yeah.
Who was that? Who was that against again? That was who was that?
So
she wrestled someone on Dark.
She had someone on Dark, and then she also had someone, and then she had Thunder Rosa, also from Wood.
Yes, of course.
Serena is not actually from the NWA, but she won the NWA title at this thing called Primetime Live, which is basically these weekly pay-per-view events, which is kind of how the NWA has been able to continue recently. And speaking generally as well, basically this was a very sort of technical match. And I said this to you during the show, but there's definitely a difference in styles. A lot of people think that like women's wrestling is very much like this kind of just like the brawler hair pull kind of style, of the old days. But this was an extremely technical match, while the match after that was more about strikes and kind of big moves and stuff. But this was really good in its own right. I actually really enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah, I liked it. There was a part where Serena had Serena Deeb had Allysin Kay put up in like a weird submission hold. Like it was just really nice. Like it reminded me of like a Zack Sabre Jr. type match of like how you do these unconventional sort of like modified submission holds, and you can't really call them a move because it feels real. It feels like an MMA type of thing where they kind of just trap them in a unique sort of hold that's sort of improvised on the spot based on like what appendages are available. So I quite like that finish.
Yeah, there was a cool because I'm also reading through just to remember some of the spots. I loved the bit where she went for, what did she do? She went for a hold, like an octopus hold they call it. Allysin Kay powered out, hit a power bomb. That was
that was impressive.
Really, really cool.
That was impressive.
Yeah,
really, really good match. Very, very good chemistry between the two. Really, I was actually like it was like a win-win for me that this match was happening, because one, it meant that John Silver and Orange Cassidy was bumped to the main show, and two, it meant we had another women's match, and it was like a Serena Deeb match as well. So
that's right.
Thumbs up all around. I thought it was very good. I'm curious to see where they go with this, if they're going to keep the NWA Women's title featured in some capacity, because I know at the end Thunder Rosa came out after Serena Deeb retained, and they sort of are setting up a rematch potentially between Thunder Rosa and
That's right.
Whether or not that
Obviously,
happens in AEW is I'm not sure if that'll happen in
and
AEW.
and it doesn't have to, because obviously the whole idea as well is, the cross promotion is to help Primetime Live. This was a story. This night was a story of AEW is, in Tony Khan's own words, as he said in the post media scrum, probably the friendliest major wrestling company on the planet right now. Actually, I wouldn't say probably. They objectively are with their alliances. So I really like this. I really like the fact that we got to see Thunder Rosa again come back. Obviously, there'd been talks over the last few weeks about her future and whether she'd be WWE bound. Which, given some of the criticisms of AEW's women's division, people have said, "Oh, just go to WWE," as if she wouldn't be able to be there's so many people there, it would be a nightmare to try and factor her in. But, I'm glad that it seems like she wants to do her own project. She has her own promotion called Mission Pro. She's also an MMA fighter. So if you
that's why they took the title off her, right? Because
she got a fight coming up. Yep. So this must have been a pretty special appearance, kind of I'm just going to have an appearance, remind everyone I'm here. I'm probably staying here /NWA. So for me, as a fan of someone that would rather shit in my hands and clap than watch WWE, I'm super glad that she's staying.
Yes, exactly. Now the show opened after that proper with the Kenny Omega and Hangman Page match, which was the final match in the world title #1 contender eliminator tournament.
Championship eliminator.
A very, very, very good match. What did you think? What did you think about that?
I mean, I thought it was one of the best matches, I'd say, in AEW history. I'd go that far. Especially considering it was placed in a position where I think it went for 20-something minutes. It felt like 5. It was one of those ones that just you were just watching it and it just didn't. It was blurring into the point where I'm when it was over, it was kind of an abrupt ending, but in a way that was kind of whoa, what did we just watch? You know
what I kind of liked about this match too is it was, and you might think this is a criticism, but I actually think it's more of if you're paying attention to the storyline, you would understand it. Mm-hmm. It felt to me like it was sort of by the book match. You know what I mean? Both guys kind of even though there was that personal rivalry between the two of them, as if they are former tag partners and they sort of disbanded in sort of a bit of an awkward way kind of thing. You would think, Hangman Page would be coming for blood here and he'd be really emotional in the match, but neither guy was really that emotional. It felt very sort of cold in a sense, didn't it?
Yeah.
It felt just sort of they're having a really standard wrestling match, but I thought that was kind of good because Kenny Omega, his character at this point is just the cleaner again, the 5-star classic best bout machine guy. He's not really too caught up in the personal side of things. He's more just here to win a match. It's just a match to him, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's that.
And I kind of like that
the lack of it being personal. The Hangman, it's exceedingly personal. For Kenny, it's just business.
Exactly, and I think
go ahead.
It's gonna further the downward trajectory of the Hangman as we go forward with AEW, because obviously after the match he seemed a little dejected and he was sort of this is jumping ahead a bit, sort of not really involved in the celebration that the Young Bucks had later in the night.
Yeah,
Kenny was there and Hangman was in the distance in the shadows.
Yeah.
So it seems like on a night where the elite succeed, Hangman Page is on the down. But otherwise, I really did enjoy this match.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, the other thing about it that was, really interesting was the include, and this kind of actually goes ahead. This kind of actually goes a little bit ahead of what we were saying. It kind of almost, what's the word? Almost disputes it, actually. Sorry, that's the right word. Is that it was actually, he had Don Callis there, right?
Yes,
Kenny Omega had Don Callis there, who has commentated on many of Kenny Omega's matches in New Japan. And he currently works for, as an executive at Impact Wrestling, and work with Kenny's uncle, who I found out this week was actually a wrestler. And so to me, that actually does sell the idea that actually Kenny does care. He's just trying to portray the idea that he doesn't. I think that's you could argue that.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. I think the situation with Kenny Omega right now is he's kind of masking his emotions, really, and he's kind of because it feels very unearned, doesn't it? Like it feels like, oh yes, he's back to being the cleaner again, sort of out of nowhere. One week he's the tag team Kenny Omega guy, the next week he's the cleaner again,
Yeah.
and he's making an effort to show you that he's that character, but it doesn't feel like he's gone through that journey, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's just, oh yeah, I'm the cleaner again, and I think that there's clearly some unresolved issues between him and Hangman Page that he probably doesn't want to admit, and it's just further developing the storyline. People were thinking this was kind of like a blow off or some kind of like into this storyline, but it's just the next step in the chapter, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole show, that's exactly right. And Callis just, it was like, I'm literally, I'm gonna watch it again. Probably tomorrow, like watch it again and just like listen to the commentary like, in depth. But from what when we're watching it, oh my god, like I've just missed that Don Callis commentary on an Omega match so much because he just big ups him so much, and a lot of American fans probably haven't actually seen that before. Like Callis being like his biggest cheerleader while it's sounding completely natural. It doesn't sound like It doesn't sound exaggerated, even though it clearly is. He's like, he's the greatest performer of all time. Like he's I fucking love that. I honestly love that.
It was a lot of fun, and I really, really loved the finish to this match too. Actually, this was a night of great finishes, and this was one that really stood out in my mind. The sort of I think you expected the One Winged Angel to be counted. I think in a future match between the two of them, you'll see this spot played out again, where Kenny gets Omega up for the One Winged Kenny gets Hangman up for the One Winged Angel, and there's like a struggle for it. I think in a future match, Hangman will get out of the One Winged Angel, and that'll be like a
As
callback.
in, you think he's going to kick out of it?
No, he won't kick out of it. He'll escape the hold.
I think he's going to kick out of it one day. I believe he will be the first I think that this is a career rival. That's the impression I got. Like, whether as bad, one guy bad guy, one guy good, one guy good, one guy good, one guy bad, both guys bad sort of thing. I genuinely believe that at some point he will be the first man since Kota Ibushi to kick out of the One Winged Angel. And the argument I make is, who else? Who else could it be? It's happening one day. This is Kenny's retirement, right? Like, Kenny is going to stay in AEW till he dies. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, I agree.
So who better than Adam Page, if you ask me?
No, I can't think of anyone. I think he's the perfect guy. And that's the thing, like the storyline that they've been having is literally one of my favorite storylines in wrestling history right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, if this was the WWE, you'd probably be thinking, oh well, it's all this setup is great, but they're not going to pay it off well. I think that they are going to pay this off well, but this is the kind of storyline that they'll keep returning to for a while. I don't think we're going to see a conclusion for it until after Kenny wins the title.
And until crowds come back, which we know could be a very, very long time, but until a genuine massive crowd comes back, I don't think.
I agree. It was, but either way, I think it was always the intention to have this kind of play out in this sort of longer term manner, because really, these were the two guys that Jericho beat back in 2019 to win the AEW title. Yeah. They both were the guys that he beat to win it, and
that's true.
I think that was kind of very intentional. I think that was a very long term plan that they were putting here.
That's right. Now River says in the chat, surely we'll get Kenny versus Henny. So surely we'll get Kenny versus Hangman again for the title down the line, and that'll be where Hangman either escapes the OWA or kicks out of it. We concur with that. I definitely think that is likely. And the thing is, and Tony Khan talked about this actually in a Dave Meltzer interview a couple days ago, and he said, some people get on him, online and just in real life about how they say sometimes he's too predictable, and he counters with, sometimes the most predictable option is the best option. That's he says that sometimes wrestlers and talent and people like that, they say, he'll go, why do you want to do this angle? And they'll say, well, to fuck with the fans, to fuck with them, and just to piss, and to basically piss them off. And he's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, and I've had to turn down stories from wrestlers where the crux of the booking has been, let's try and actively piss them off. And
right.
Wrong company, dude, because there's plenty of bad things that can happen, right, in this show, but it feels like it's earned as part of a narrative, not like a, fuck you, this is the dumbest shit ever, I quit. You know?
Oh, totally, totally. And
Huge
that's
difference.
always like my thing too with wrestling is like I disagree with the mentality that because it's predictable, it's bad, right? I think case in point, this year at the Tokyo Dome, right? Naito winning was probably the most predictable outcome, but going through the journey of Wrestle Kingdom 12 and Wrestle Kingdom 8 and, you know, losing the belt, losing the main event those two times, I feel like by the time he finally wins, it's like this amazing catharsis that it feels earned, and a good story, right? This is the key thing. A good story recontextualizes the things that happened before it.
That's right. That's very
It
much
puts
true.
it in a frame of a bigger picture, right? So at the time when you're going into Wrestle Kingdom 12 and you're excited for Naito to finally win and he loses and you're disappointed, i.e. like I was, by the time you get to Wrestle Kingdom 14 and he wins in the main event, you look back at the whole thing that happened previously and you're like, okay, now I see why they did that.
Whereas in Les Fed, Les Dub, W-E,
Yeah.
a lot of the time they will have quite a decent, like, enough build-up, and then the payoff will be so bad that you forget all the good times you had. Like, it's kind of an inverse, you know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
and that's a big problem. Now, King Europe has donated, I always want to say €5, but I realize that is disgraceful to say that to a Brit, given Brexit. £5, and he says, when you watch in person with Angus, will we see the return of the ceremonial forgetting of the tickets?
Oh, yes.
Referring to
of
when I left
course.
$1,500 worth of New Japan Pro Wrestling tickets at home. Link somewhere. I'll put that somewhere.
The ceremonial forgetting of the tickets, exactly.
thank you
That's
for
the
that.
thing. Thankfully, we've been going to our local wrestling show, RCW, that we work for, and we don't have to pay for tickets for that because we're on the staff. So
No, that's right.
But if we were going to the show as fans, I don't think we would have missed. I think we've missed most of the shows because you would have forgot tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. And hello, Nitro Crash. How are you doing today? I'm sure you're a massive wrestling fan. I'm sure you are.
So yeah,
and
the
I
Kenny Hangman match, just to summarize my
Masterpiece.
thoughts, really good match. One of the best openers I think they've had in New Japan. Oh, not New Japan, fucking AEW. I think one of the only ones I could really think of rivaling it was the Young Bucks Jurassic Express match that they
Love
had
that
from
shit. Yes.
from
yes.
all that.
And,
But you know, I know that
yes.
wasn't technically the opener because they had the Britt Baker tooth and nail match as the opener,
Yeah.
but I count that as
We don't count
as
that
the
shit. All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Sorry, match
absolutely
two,
no.
match two.
I loved it. We're not going to give star ratings because I don't think that's actually. I think that's like kind of not worth it. I might do that when I actually rewatch the show again. But yeah, I think that was a fantastic match, and there's basically nothing I would have done differently. Speaking of stuff that I would not have done differently,
Exactly. It served its purpose, and it felt like the first.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it felt like a first match in a feud, kind of. It didn't feel like a blow-off match, which I think is
Not at
definitely
all.
very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, I was saying that speaking of a match that I would not change a thing of, Orange Cassidy versus John for Silver. Now, if you're a fan of ISGP, the International Spyro Grand Prix, you'll know that John Silver of the Dark Order is very much affiliated with myself personally. He's a personal friend.
Yes. Well, I mean, he sent me a
personally
video for
endorsed-
my anniversary too.
He did. He
me the
sent
video.
you a video from your anniversary of purely from the goodness of his heart because he's
That's
just
right.
a great guy. He promoted the Super Gex League completely from the goodness of his own heart because he just felt compelled to. You know, he felt compelled to. He sent me a message and he attached a video, and you can see it wasn't from Cameo because there's no Cameo logo there. So
That's right.
you know, it's a real thing. But John for Silver. That's what it's listed as. I love it. John for Silver.
Paul Silver.
Or just John Silver, is to me one of the, if not the greatest story of 2020 in pro wrestling. I'm going to say that over Naito. I'm not even joking. It is like the greatest.
Oh, I mean, it's a different story. It's a fun.
It's a different story.
He's the greatest story in terms of like how a guy who basically had nothing became one of the greatest like memes and entertaining wrestlers of 2020.
Yeah, and for context, which is really important to say, Angus and I want to put this in everyone's head quite arrogantly, and I think it's a resounding four-word sentence of "We told you so." We knew this guy was going to be big from the second we saw him. Watching Dynamite, like episode 4 or something like that, when he was like squashed and like barely did anything with Alex Reynolds, we knew You could just see.
Well,
You
it's
could
funny.
just
Yeah,
see.
we were at the gym one day. We were having a conversation just after we worked out. I think this is back when the sauna room was still open in our gym. So I
Hmm.
think we just had a sauna, and we were like, "Fuck!" One day, John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Don't forget
Hmm.
Alex Reynolds.
Alex
But
Reynolds
John
too.
Silver and Alex Reynolds are going to be a big deal. They're going to be someone we're going to talk about in like a year or so time. And what happened? They did, and John Silver, was originally this match was going to be on the pre-show, the buy-in, but they moved it to the main card. And great decision because this was a perfect palate cleanser. But it wasn't really like a piss break match or anything. It was really really good.
By the way, the idiot that reviews this, by the way, says, after some comedy at the start, this led to a decent match with absolutely no story. The majority of the match was just these two trading moves. Wrong. Completely wrong. This match was... Absolutely, there was a story. Absolutely, there was big moves. I really love the fact that basically the story goes as well with Silver is Tony Khan called him into his office, ribbed him. He's like, I'm really mad with you, Silver. Like, I'm really mad with you. And he's like, oh, what did I do? What did I do? He goes, yeah, we have this amazing character on BTE, but we don't see it anywhere on television. So, let's do something with it. And so that's led to him posing all the time and saying things like, I'm freaking jacked, baby. And all these other, like, ridiculous John Silverisms. And as you know, he is pretty much aping many Tim and Eric bits during his
John
BTE
Silver's
appearance.
basically just a Tim and Eric riff track because I don't know. I remember the first time I heard him say something like he was talking about Wardlow and he said Wardlow was handsome for a man, and I was like, that's a Tim Eric thing. And then he said something else like he's number one handsome boy or something. I'm like, that's another Tim and Eric thing.
Yeah.
He just keeps referencing him, and I love it.
Yeah.
And then he said something like bare back, ball, and butt or something, which is like not even a Tim and Eric reference, but a reference to a show called I Think You Should Leave, which is Tim and Eric adjacent, which is
Yeah, and the thing about Silver, and this is, someone pointed this out as well. So at the start of the year, Orange Cassidy slowly building himself up in front of crowds, right? Getting just extremely over. Like, he's one of the guys that's both been hurt so bad by the pandemic in terms of lack of crowds, but has also maintained it and has even exceeded expectations, I think. But the point is that Orange Cassidy was a guy that was coming up. They built up this big match with Pac, right?
Yeah.
And so he was kind of the guy, Pac was being used as the guy that was, pushing this new star in Orange Cassidy. And so Orange Cassidy was kind of like being featured in a particular way. Now, 8 months later, or 9 months later, Orange Cassidy is now being used as the vehicle to get John Silver over. Have you not?
Yeah, exactly. How great is that?
How crazy is that? In less than a year, John Silver is now the guy. Like, Orange Cassidy is being used to put over another person. Like, if that is not bigger evidence that this is the best booked pro wrestling on the planet, I don't know what else to tell you. Because that is just, it's just phenomenal. And there was a point in the crowd, which is loud the whole night, by the way, where there was dueling Orange Cassidy and John Silver chants.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, are you serious? That's incredible. That's fucking amazing, honestly.
Look, I love this match. I thought it was great for what it was. Like, it was kind of a mid-card match that sort of, I don't think, served any greater purpose other than to feature these two guys. However, I really enjoyed it for what it was, and I thought that the trading sequences at the end was really good.
Well, like how they point this out as well. In a reference to Mr. Brody Lee, Silver went for the discus forearm. Cassidy countered it with the orange punch and beach break for the victory. How interesting is that? That he went for a move that his supposed, the cult leader. Okay, so you want a bitter story here. Silver is obviously a sycophant for Brody Lee. He's part of the Dark Order. He's regularly the punching bag. But recently he's kind of been, there's been a little bit of a, I think Brody's got a bit of begrudging respect for him kind of thing. It's sort of like building up. He's been more on TV. He goes for Brody's move, which for all intents and purposes should be something that would help him, considering Brody says that he enriches lives. But what happens? It actually leads to his doom. So I think there's a little bit of an angle there, a little bit very subtle, but there's something there.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this match a lot, and I thought it was a good feature, especially Orange Cassidy going over against someone other than Chris Jericho. It shows that after a program like that, he's still he's come out a bigger star on top, and now he's sort of, as you said, giving John Silver the chance to get over. So
That's
very
right.
good. Thumbs up.
And yeah, Silver's massively over. Can't wait to see more. Can't wait to see him tagged back with Reynolds, because actually, like, John Silver has an incredible moveset. He's a very talented wrestler, but some of the tag shit he does with Alex Reynolds, I don't want people to forget Alex Reynolds, because I know that he's not as popular, but he's amazing too. Can't wait to see them back on TV. Can't wait to see him in some dark squashes. That's for sure.
I agree.
And yes, of course, best friends arrived at the end and hugged him, Cassie, at the very end. Then we're 2 for 2. We're about to go 3 for 3 with Darby Allin versus Cody Rhodes. Yes, 1 year story. Oh yes, Cody Rhodes. He worked everyone into thinking that he was never going to use Cody Rhodes as a wrestling term anymore. Now that he got back from WWE, the trademark. And this is over a year story culminated in a just incredible.
A feel good moment it was. Darby Allin finally getting the win over Cody after like a year plus.
Yes.
The whole face of TNT angle going into it was very fun.
They quickly derail this. Someone says, "Hey Andrew, I'm sorry our Tinder date didn't go well. You were too hairy for me," they said. Interesting. Thank you, female Sasquatch presently in Ostrus. But yes, that's right. Absolutely. It was something that, the whole face of TNT angle, it wasn't like it was something that was playing out on TV for months and months and months. But that doesn't, again, this is like the whole Tony Khan thing, and Cody Rhodes have actually talked about this. You don't have to have something play out explicitly every single week over and over again in order for it to be a story. This was a story that if you knew the two characters, you knew that this was going to happen at some point. This is now their 4th match in about a year and a half, and this was the exact way to end it. With Darby Allin winning his first singles title. I think one of his first singles titles like ever, even in wrestling, actually. And of course, what would be considered probably, I think that, this is debatable, but I'm just going to call it at this point, an AEW homegrown guy, actually win the title.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was in the sense of like he wasn't a major star outside of AEW prior to being signed. He was like a indie guy in the Northeast. Wrestling, which is,
that's right,
Defy and that kind of thing. And anyway, so like I think brought him in. He had a good match against Cody in the opener, in the first what was that? What pay-per-view was that? That was Fight for the Fallen, or
Fighter Fest.
Fighter Fest. Yeah. Then they had another match in the TNT tournament.
No, so they had the second match was the Homecoming, which was they've actually, funnily enough, in Jacksonville, Daly's Place, the start of the year. That was the show that turned everything around momentum wise. And then they had the tournament match, which had probably the most controversial finish of them all, because some people were like pissed off, like, oh, I fucking got him at the end with the coffin drop. But I actually think that, again, retroactively with the story, works very well. And then now he he finally actually pinned him. So.
Yeah, no, it was really, really, really good match. Well earned win, I think.
Crowd was
I liked it a lot. I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about this one, because it kind of was like, as a match, just like, it was a good match, but I think the outcome, it really speaks for itself, and Darby Allin wins. After the match, Taz came out with Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, and they sort of looks like they're poised to be the next challenger. One of them will be the next challenger for the TNT title.
Obviously. I love that bit where they focus the camera on it. Cage and Starks went to pick up the title, and they both picked it up, and they kind of fought it a little bit before Taz sort of diffused it very, very quickly. It's just, again, it's a little wrinkle in their angle there, which I'm really excited for, actually.
Right, and then our best bud Will Hobbs came out to make the save.
Goosebumps every time I see Will Hobbs.
Will Hobbs, they were going to put Darby Allin through the hood of the car, because Darby Allin drove in on a car that said Face of TNT, and Will Hobbs came out and made the save, and it looks like it will be Will Hobbs and Darby Allin against Team Taz at some point in the future. What would probably happen then is, I think whoever would, I think they'll do like a New Japan Pro Wrestling style booking situation where, I guess, the winner of that, if it's Brian Cage or Ricky Starks, whoever sort of has the most business to do with Darby Allin, will go after the title.
Yeah, I agree.
Potentially.
I
Again,
could,
that's one of those situations where it's like a predictable kind of outcome, but I like it.
I actually could see potentially there Cage having something to do with Cody, because the big question is, what does Cody do now, actually, now that he's lost the title?
Yeah, that's good.
And for good, I think this time. For good.
Point.
I think that it's not like a comeback. Of course, we got Brody Lee coming back probably at some point very soon as well. Actually, I'll talk about that later. I've got a bit of a theory with that. So then,
Oh, okay. Well, also not to mention, will Hobbs join Team Taz as well, because that seems to be a sort of lingering story point.
Yes. I really hope not. I don't think he should go heel, but we'll see what happens there. Then we had this. We had a natural Nightmares promo real quick. Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall was pretty good, pretty decent. And they announced a bunkhouse match, which is the bunkhouse stampede. Was like this old Dusty Rhodes stipulation thing, WCW way back. So I'm really curious to see what happens with that. Actually, that's going to be interesting. Good.
Yeah,
good,
they
good
really kind of pushed
stinger.
that match heavily on Dynamite next week. The Natural Nightmares versus the Butcher and the Blade.
You know what? The Butcher and the Blade are great, and obviously they weren't on this pay-per-view, so they would be angling for a match on by Revolution. And if they can be really good over this next 3.5 months, I'm ready for that. You know, I'm big on them. So yeah, this should be good. Anyway, then we have Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero, which I thought was a good match, but there was something missing from it, I think. Would you say?
Yeah, I thought to me as well, there was a point in the match, I think it was pretty good up until Shida lifted Rose up for after she pinned her off the Falcon Arrow, like the elevated Falcon Arrow. She picked her up and then was like, and then they kind of botched, I think, the spot with Vicky Guerrero, because she like kind of half grabbed her leg, but sort of half didn't grab her leg, and then they did this weird sequence at the end there, which like it felt like Rose was winning the match, right? It felt like Shida had fucked up. She shouldn't have been so brash, and she was going to pay for it. But then she still won anyway, so I don't know. It kind of felt a little off.
Yeah, it was a little bit off. And you and the legendary Twitter user Mongo Ebooks had actually a similar opinion here, where you both pointed out that there was a couple kickouts that looked a little bit kind of sloppy. They looked a bit like, like Matt Hayter getting powerbombed by Tyler Daniels kind of thing, but like not.
Yeah. It looked kind of like a weak kickout. Like it looked like you would have expected a strong kickout, but it was just like a half-assed kickout.
Yes. But I actually did love the whole pick her up thing. I mean, in the sense that it makes Hikaru Shida look like an absolute freaking monster. Ironically,
that didn't come near the end though. They had like another 3 or 4 minutes after that.
That's right. I agree. It should have been like a Kota Ibushi Sonata, where he hit their Kamagoya and then did it again, sort of thing. I think that's what they should have done.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, definitely not a bad match. Definitely not a bad match by any stretch. Now, I know this is a wrestling podcast, but someone just asked me, am I a Biden guy or a Donald guy? Technically neither, but I would say Biden. Anyway, then Guerrero berated Rose, slapped her. I kind of hope it's the end of the relationship soon, because Nyla Rose is actually a tremendous talker and genuinely doesn't need Vicky Guerrero. And
well,
I'd like to see...
I don't think it's going anywhere either. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I think this was like a trial run for Vicky. It kind of worked. Like, Vicky's a good talker, but I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think it really. She was actually
had a medical procedure that actually took her off TV for about a month or so. So that kind of hurt that. And Tony Khan did say that he actually brought up some stuff, because I actually built some stuff up on Dark, and he said, Sometimes I've got to realize I've got to be careful, because half people don't watch Dark. That's
See, I love Tony Khan, because he just expects everyone to watch everything, which is great.
As they fucking should, because Dark is great. Then we had what I believe to be the match of the night.
Could be match of the year. Could be match of the year. Possibly one of my one of my favorite matches of all time. Absolutely. Really? Already? It's that high?
Of all time. I know this. I know this because I can't fake how I felt during it. That's the thing.
That's right. We were like enjoying this one a lot.
Okay, let's see. Yeah. Let me just... okay.
What are you doing?
I'm just looking at the chat. So this was the Young Bucks versus FTR. The stipulation being that if FTR win, the Young Bucks will never challenge for the AEW titles again, which is a stipulation that, if you think about it, probably gives it away that FTR are losing, but at the same time, you could not fake some of those near fall reactions, and you could not fake how fucking good this match was.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, last year we had the same stipulation with Cody against Jericho, where if Cody lost, he wouldn't challenge again, and then of course no one thought he would lose, and he lost.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that also like played the what if factor into this. However, that withstanding, really good match. Tully Blanchard, the manager, was banned from ringside, so it was pretty much a clean tag team match against FTR and the Young Bucks. And what I really liked about this match is it kind of told the story of tag team wrestling throughout the generations in a very sort of like concise and clear manner. So, you had the levels of like FTR, who are sort of the more like old school guys doing the finishes of the Hart Foundation and the Steiner Brothers, tag teams from the 80s.
Yep.
And then you had Young Bucks doing the Dudley Boys, Team 3D, that tag spot, and the Hardys finisher, which are like more of the 90s sort of spot monkey type stuff. Really good. And then they even referenced NXT. The FTR did the DIY finish.
That's right, and that was huge. That got a bit, good reaction. Everything did. This match that crowd was on fire for this, because this has been a match that had been built pretty much from a YouTube show at the very, for about 4 years almost. The whole "fuck the revival" thing, where they called them out. As River said, love the callbacks to the old tag team finishes. Absolutely, me too. When they, tribute the Hardys, of course. The whole DIY thing with FTR. One of my favorite spots ever, of literally in wrestling history. Again, I'm going that high. I'm going that high.
Wow.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit, because I just remember the reaction. So, Dax does this, or Cash does this fucking drop with he does this like insane freaking like spear through the ropes, and was it Matt or Nick that he hit? I think it might have been Matt.
I thought it was Nick.
Maybe it was Nick. Yeah, I think it was Nick. Anyway, so basically he hits that, and that was like absolutely crazy. And then towards the end of the match, he goes for the spear again, but Nick like drops and basically avoids it, and he literally like spears himself out of the ring, and it leads into like basically near the finish. And just the callback, like within the very match itself, was so brilliantly done. And it's like, and it looks so visceral, it looks so violent, him flying through the ropes. I was like, oh my god, is he dead? Is he dead?
Yeah, and there was that great spot again towards the end of the match where Dax went for it again. Not Dax, Cash. Jeez, I keep getting the back mixed up. Yeah, he went for it again, and then I think Nick ducked it. He did one of the best fake outs I have ever seen. Yeah, it was like the fake out where he fell down was tremendous, and that led into it was funny because the finish of this match was a super kick.
Yeah. So
literally just a super
so
kick.
Much storytelling stuff that you could just go over with a fine-tooth comb, and you definitely should. But
we can't do this match justice talking about it. You have to watch this match.
No. This is a must watch, and it
was so good.
We'll get to the end stuff. So basically, what happened was so it was an amazing facial expression from Cash, because what Cash did is he's like, I'm about to fucking humiliate this, guys. I'm about to pull out some shit. So basically, like, he's smirking, he's like looking around, he's like, okay, I'm gonna hit a fucking 450. I'm gonna hit a fucking springboard 450 splash, which is an incredible move, a incredible top rope move from guys that have the moniker no flips, just fists, right? Basically, these guys don't do flippy moves for the most part, and anything of that caliber they've never done. So he goes up, does this picture perfect one, but he gets out the way, and basically, he dodges it, he lands, he hits, and then what was it he said? What goes for 450, and then Matt is actually the one that hits the super kick on him, and the Young Bucks win the titles for the first time. It was yes. I was just fucking jumping around like a mad idiot. It was just beautiful. It was so well done. It was just like the crowd was going fucking ballistic. It was just insane.
I was very happy with this match too. I was really hoping they would win too, because I felt like um, the outcome of them like not being able to become champions ever again was kind of like, it would have had the same like gut punch I think that Cody did. It would have just been like, okay, again, yeah. But I really like the one time they went for a flip, it failed. It was like Dax was trying to say. I keep saying Dax. Cash was trying to say, we can do it all. We'll prove to you we can do it all, and then he couldn't. His ego got the best of him.
He can do it all, but he can't stick the landing. And then they pin him with a single super kick. And if you watch a show that regularly features pedophiles, you would know that in WWE that's absolutely buried. They always talk about people being buried or whatever, right? In AEW, it's not. You simply do not get buried for losing. That's just not how it works there. And,
no.
You don't get buried for losing to a move like a super kick either. That is not a burial. It is so classic, so core that it comes down to one singular super kick, aka the move that they are routinely mocked by geriatric old men online and unfortunately young pro wrestlers in South Australia. So it's fascinating to know that that the match ended so simply. To me, that should make it criticism proof from a lot of the old heads that don't like this style, actually. Don't you think?
No, that's right. I thought that too. Like it should. I don't know how you couldn't enjoy this match, to be honest. Like I really don't know. It had something for everyone. And you talk about like people always say wrestling is like different flavors of ice cream, right?
Yeah.
This match was like if you had a chocolate sundae with strawberry ice cream and vanilla ice cream and choc mint and all mixed up perfectly together, and it didn't taste like shit. It tasted really nice. That's what this match was. This match literally had something for everyone. It had spots where where Matt Jackson was in a rest hold, for God's sakes.
Yeah,
and there was heat. They were building heat.
That's right.
And there was a comeback, and there was a cutoff, and there was a finish. As a hope spot.
That's right. And this, I've said this to you before, but FTR to me probably are the best at making a rest spot look really entertaining. Like they were really struggling, like the fighting, the intensity with that, and that is an important aspect of wrestling, because a lot of the time in Australian wrestling here, people use a rest hold in that literal sense, and that it can go minutes for them just trying to cover for their shitty cardio, and they don't actually do anything with the rest hold, and they just expect the fans to clap, oh yeah, here we go, and cut off again. Yeah, cool.
It's my least favorite part of rest holds, because they feel like someone's in there for an arbitrary amount of time, right, before they get up and start fighting back.
That's right.
It just feels like, oh, all right, I'm in this rest hold. All right, now time to fight back. It's boring. Yawn.
That's right. And we'll talk about that and the kind of reaction it has had over the wrestling community after this. We'll jump on to the Elite Deletion, which is, of course, something that is always going to be very polarizing. In this case, I think I really actually enjoyed the Elite Deletion, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, but I did have a really good time. And especially after such an intense match, it had to be in this spot. Like, you couldn't have followed it with MJF Jericho. That would have been a big mistake.
No, not at all. I enjoyed the Elite Deletion too. I don't think these deletion matches are as groundbreaking as they were when they started. Obviously, that's going to happen. They really didn't do anything that new in this match. It was kind of just a play on the existing sort of tropes that you get from these matches.
Yeah.
That being said, very good. And I really like there's a portion of like 4 or 5 minutes in this match where they just had a bit normal wrestling match. So that was good too.
Yeah. What I really liked is that, we got to see Private Party, who were playing their own theme music as they drove to the venue, which is a funny trope that you see sometimes in TV shows. I really like that. I was really glad to see It actually got Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz on the card as well, and of course it got 2 legends on the card.
Yeah, Gangrel and Hurricane Helms.
Yes, which were great little cameos. Absolutely nothing offensive about their appearances. It was just kind of another classic use of AEW using legends in a way that's just funny.
Yeah,
like
watching Sammy Guevara fight Gangrel was very amusing to me. He's like, what?
Gangrel of all people. That's right. What's up, Unlisted Leaf? Yes, Unlisted Leaf, giant wrestling fan as well. Giant fan.
That's right.
He was there live with the genesis of New Japan, truly ushering in AEW with the whole Chris Jericho debut.
I say he was there when we lost the tickets, or forgot the tickets.
He was also there when we lost. I left the tickets home. But yeah, this match was just crazy. And you know what the thing about it though, this pretty good sort of funny sort of thing where you're like watching it, and they're doing these like quite good spots where Private Party and Santana and Ortiz are wrestling, and I'm like, hey, this is actually a pretty good wrestling match they're just having in the middle of this ridiculous segment. Do you know what I mean? And led to, we got sort of dilapidated boat again, fall down. And personally, I absolutely loved the bit. Where so Sammy is getting chased by Hardy, and he slips into he slips into like a mud show, like sort of a bunch of mud. And he says something to the line of like, the competition is in the mud. You love to see it, which is which is a reference to Brian Alvarez's ratings threads. Every week that AEW defeats NXT in the ratings, you'll see something like NXT in the mud. You love to see it. So it's getting essentially, I considering I have contributed to many of those toxic threads. It was an honor to be shouted out on AEW pay-per-view. That was brilliant.
That's right, and the face gets the win here. They put Sammy Guevara in the bin at the end. Matt Hardy and Private Party does, and this cursed feud is over.
Yes, and you know what? A good ending to it. A fucking brutal ending to it, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad they shot it like as a cinematic, because the bump that Guevara takes off Hardy spears him through a table on the outside.
Yeah.
And they I guess they blade the back of his head off screen.
Yeah.
He's bleeding. Looks like he's smashed his head against the concrete. That looked bad. That looked really bad. But it was safe.
It was brutal. But you know what? The other thing that was cool about it, actually, and I was looked this up recently. I looked it up when we're talking about it. Oh yeah, I am supporting Movember unofficially somehow. Pointing out in the comments. But so apparently there was a WWE Network special. In which Gangrel appeared a masked man appeared at the end, and Hurricane was kidnapped by this mystery man. So when they're referring to that bit, it goes, it took you 2 years. That was when the last deletion special was. So Gangrel was the guy that was holding, the Hurricane captive, basically. So
I did not know that. That was interesting.
That's some fun lore.
Well, I guess because I didn't watch the last deletion match.
No,
that's why it felt a little fresher to me, because I haven't seen a deletion match since.
That's right. And the thing is though, and as we point out, the whole polarizing thing, you can't do this for a very long time again. One thing that has been killed in the COVID era is the cinematic match. They cannot be done more than a couple times now. They won't be done. I don't think in AEW's case they won't be done all the time. But we've now had. I'm not even going to count the Britt Baker one, because as much as I thought she was good in it, basically Stadium Stampede, which was an epic, and then this. They won't do anything remaining. I don't think in any more years. Maybe they'll do one next year. Hardy will kind of have that kind of thing, but I don't see it being a overly recurring thing.
Yeah, I think the era of the cinematic match is over. Because, again, I think once you see too many of them, they feel like you're just watching a movie, and then at that point you're like, why am I not watching a movie? Just watch a movie.
Then we had this low-key fucking fire promo that just happens before the next match. Lance Archer beats this guy up. Jake Roberts is, narrating it, and he starts talking, and he starts, saying that he's coming for Eddie Kingston. and everyone else in the family, which to me almost signals somewhat of a face turn. I don't know if that's what they're going with, but just interesting, very interesting. He's been coming out in dark lately as well and cutting these great promos. Someone pointed this out on Twitter, but I do believe this. I would completely concur that Lance Archer is one of the most improved promos of the year.
I agree.
I used to not really... He used to kind of speak a bit odd. He used to kind of try and do this voice. It didn't work super well. It wasn't bad. But when you were learning from... And clearly he's learning. When you were learning from one of the best promos of all time in Jake the Snake Roberts. When you were learning from Jake the Snake Roberts, you better fucking get good. You know? Like, and he has.
Yeah, no, that's right. He's really improved. I mean, even since his promo he did against Moxley at Wrestle Kingdom 14. Like, that was a good promo, I thought.
It was good, but if he did it now, oh my god, it'd be, you know.
Yeah, he's just sort of talking like himself now, and he's doing a really good job. And I think, look, I'm intrigued to see where they go with Eddie Kingston and what's his name?
Him. They have a lot of history because the whole thing is that, you know, like the never being eliminated from the Battle Royale at All Out, and then of course Kingston he took Archer's title match essentially. I mean, I know that Archer ended up getting it later, but it kind of fucked his momentum. You know, he took the title match and that led to this big main event. So yeah, very curious to see what happens there. Then we had MJF versus Chris Jericho. A match to determine whether MJF and Wardlow can join the Inner Circle. And after Sammy Guevara was literally taken out like trash, I think this match seemed pretty obvious that MJF was going to win. And as
no, but I didn't think that was a bad thing though.
No, not at all. No, I mean I want it to happen. As the review here points out, though, I do think the crowd was starting to get a bit tired here. So I think that some of the reactions were overall good. I still really enjoyed the match, but I think it could have benefited for a slightly hotter crowd, I think.
Yeah, look, it was a slower match, I think, than the previous matches, but I thought it was good. I really liked especially like we talked about finishes. I mean, this match had a really, really all-time like great finish in my opinion, with
unbelievable.
With Jericho getting thrown the baseball bat. Floyd, by the way, is the name of the bat. From Jake Hager on the outside. He catches it, and then what does MJF do? He's like, all right, fine, flips Jericho off, lies down on the mat, and then Aubrey Edwards, the referee, turns around, sees Jericho with the bat, MJF down. Obviously, he's like, oh shit, you hit MJF. Now, that could have been the finish. They could have just done that as the finish. But then, what happens? MJF rolls up Jericho and wins that way, and I thought that was actually perfect.
Yeah, better to me. I'm glad that the decision starts to pen in. Am I going to qualify? Am I going to do that WWE thing of like, you fall for it, or even fucking New Japan, you know, you fell for it sort of thing. And no, before he got to do that, he got the roll up, which gives it a definitive finish. And in essence, a clean finish.
It was a clean finish in essence. Yes, exactly.
Because, I mean, no one actually hit anyone with anything. It was the illusion sort of thing. But no, this was a good match. And, I mean, oh my God. How good was that MJF lion salt? Oh, just the way
that's right. That was really good, too.
Oh my God, it was just great. But yeah, MJF is fantastic. You know, MJF is fantastic. And Jericho is definitely older. You definitely see his age a lot more. But I think he still has it. And he can still put on an entertaining match.
He busted out a top rope Frankensteiner for this match.
That was fucking, it was ridiculous.
And it was smooth as fuck, too. It wasn't even like a bad Frankensteiner.
Yeah. So, yeah. Then we had a segment that I missed. They're pushing, I was reading a Tony Khan interview. MJF, you know, he shook the hand of Jericho, MJF, and Wardlow in the Inner Circle. So, very interested to see where that goes.
Yes, that's right. MJF and Wardlow in the Inner Circle, very important. Him and Jake Hager have a weird chemistry thing going
sexual
on.
tension. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's it was great. Then we had an interview segment with Orange Cassidy, the best friends. He had no thoughts on the win. Then we had Miro, Kip Sabian, and Penelope Ford do their whole thing. They're continuing that feud on TV. So I'm still I know a lot of people aren't really into this. I understand why. But you know what? I'm curious to see how the wedding goes. I thought that Miro had a good match on TV with Trent, so I'm curious to see how this goes.
That was good.
To me, the best friends are very, I would call them ring generals in that, that they're very much, you can always have a solid match with them. So if they can't, Jesus Christ, like they, so let's see what happens there.
Are they building to like a intergender 6-man tag match, perhaps? Do you think?
Who's the intergender on the best friends?
No. Penelope Ford.
Oh, just being on the team. Yeah. With Orange. Yeah.
Yeah. So Miro.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. No. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it would be Miro. It would be Miro, Sabian, and Penelope Ford versus best friends and Orange Cassidy.
Well, the cool thing about Orange Cassidy is that if you don't want to do the whole intergender female violence, crap, which is a total excuse, then you can just have Orange Cassidy do Orange Cassidy spots with Penelope, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That kind of works that way. Yeah, that kind of works that way.
Yeah, I think that would be perfectly fine. I think that would be perfectly acceptable.
So yeah, looking forward to that actually. So you can't convince me otherwise. I'm actually looking forward to it. And then we head into our main event. Full Gear really is the show with this year and last year of the death match, the brutal, fucking crazy, violent main events. We had it with Kenny Omega.
Coming a bit that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. I would like it if Full Gear became like almost like that kind of thing in the way that they WWE originally would treat a Hell in a Cell match before it became an actual pay-per-view event. Where it's actually like you have this fuck off crazy match at the end. I kind of like that. Full Gear.
Yeah, like if the show just sort of organically. I mean, that's the thing. You have to organically build to like an I Quit match like this. You know what I mean?
Of course.
You can't just throw an I Quit match out there for no reason. It's the pay-per-view I Quit, where every match will be an I Quit match.
Yeah.
And then you have like John Silver versus Orange Cassidy as an I Quit match, even though it doesn't need to be.
That's right. I mean, not to say that wouldn't be one of the greatest matches ever, but yeah. I mean, this match, it just was brutal, like in every sense of the word. The tack from the thumbtack spot. Some of the the selling, like some of the lariats from Moxley and stuff like that. Just the brawling in general. That is where Eddie Kingston is best. Eddie Kingston is, by his own admission, he's not like the greatest wrestler. Like I don't think anyone would put him in that category of like one of the greatest wrestlers on the roster. But what he is, he's a wrestler that makes you feel some of the most you'll ever feel when watching.
That's right. He's a really sympathetic character at the same time as he
is a prestige drama main character.
Yeah, like, that's a good way to describe him.
Yeah, he's a guy that's just like, he's done bad shit. He'll tell you he's done bad shit. He is a heel in the feud, but at the same time, you want to see this guy succeed because you know what he's fought for. 18 years in the indie scene. John Moxley ditches him to go to some fucking pissant piece of shit company. And that's all real. He did leave him. And it's like...
Well, don't forget, let's talk about, like, real emotion. Like, Jess, Izzy Shaw / Meteor Girl, my girlfriend, really was upset when Eddie Kingston lost this match.
That's right.
She was actually pulling for Eddie Kingston to win.
That's right.
Because the story going into it was so good because Eddie Kingston, as you say, this prestige drama guy can tell these stories. He is one of the best talkers. He is a talker on another level. Like Jericho is great, MJF is great, but Eddie Kingston is just different.
To me, yeah. I mean, because obviously Jericho's done it all. But if I had to gun to my head, who do I prefer to talk? I'd say Eddie Kingston. I genuinely, to me, he's just so fucking great. They did this alcohol spot with I think it was legit alcohol. You can see the way they're kind of flailing around. Basically, it's like, oh my god, that would be brutal because they got broken open with things like thumbtacks and stuff like that. It was just tremendous. When Moxley hit the Gotch style pile driver, the Minoru Suzuki reference.
Yeah.
That was just brilliant. I love that he's been doing that in matches ever since going over to Japan for that. And I also love the moment where Kingston gave him the finger without even looking at him.
That was a good moment too.
Oh, this face. And then finally, when he got the the bulldog choke and he had barbed wire going into his throat, Kingston basically cried and said, "I quit." And it was just like...
The way he said "I quit" was so visceral, wasn't it? It was
almost,
like,
it was
I
almost,
quit.
it was almost pathetic. It was like he just couldn't even. Like, and I don't mean that in a buried way. I don't mean that in a he was buried way. I mean that in a oh my fucking god. Like, he has no other option. Like, this is all he can utter from his head because he's about to freaking die. You know, like it was just oh my god, just absolutely riveting storytelling, absolutely riveting match. And again, it's another one that
I loved it. I love this match a lot. Like, you know, it was, I think it was a different thing. Like, this was pay-per-view served up different things from top to bottom. Like, you know, you had your work rate stuff, you had your storytelling stuff, you had your women's matches, you had your technical matches. It was all there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this show was what, like, I think this is the gun to my head, the best pay-per-view AEW has done.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this. Revolution was really, really good.
Yeah, Revolution was
early in the year, but I actually think I preferred this show.
Yeah, it's me too. I'm going back and forth. On my rewatch, I think I will have a definitive decision. But I would say that, I'm probably gonna say yes, it was. And I'd say it with absolute certainty had it been in front of like 12,000 people like Revolution. Because
I think the difference was, right, Revolution had Jake Hager and Dustin Rhodes, which went 14 minutes 40 seconds.
What the fuck?
That was a bit of a long one. I didn't love that match.
Yeah.
Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara was good, but only went 5 minutes.
That was all right. Well, they did shit before the bell, but yes, you're correct.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but I mean the match itself was only 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it did have Kenny and Hangman Page against the Young Bucks,
Unreal.
and it did have MJF Cody, and it had Pat, which is good, and John Moxley versus Jericho, which is really good. But I think
that was good. It wasn't as good as this. It wasn't as good.
No,
as
that's
this.
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's why I think this show was better.
The more I think about it, I think you're right. Yeah.
I think Eddie Kingston and Moxley was better. I think Orange Cassidy and John Silver was really probably not as good as Pac.
Probably not just because of that not the crowd reaction, just not being able
to
but
it was
get to that level. Still
it was just below it. Probably.
And I think both MJF and Cody had better matches not against each other. So Cody had a better match with
I
Darby.
actually didn't love the MJF Cody match. I actually think MJF Jericho was more
you're right. The more I think about it, the only like misstep you could say about and I wouldn't even call it this. The only misstep you could argue with Full Gear was, maybe some of the way that the Nyla Sheeta match was paced. Whereas with Revolution, two of the glaringly obvious things that were a bit like, what the fuck, was, having the Hager Dustin match go too long, the ridiculous bullshit with MJF and Cody, like the shitty entrance with, downstate, and it just kind of, and then the face tat just like distracted, and then John Moxley, like that, I think there was a bit something wrong with the blood bits in sort of something wrong with the bloody bits with Moxley Jericho, so it kind of started off a bit too slow as well. So I agree now, actually, fully. Yes, you're right. The peak, the best show is All Out. Sorry, All Out. All Out.
All Out was good too. I did enjoy All Out. I'm just gonna do a quick ranking of AEW's pay-per-views, just real quick, because I feel like this is something that I want to do. So, pay-per-view wise, okay, I think I'm gonna go Full Gear number 1, Revolution number 2.
Double or Nothing.
What's that?
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing 2019 3, right? Because that had Cody and Dustin Rhodes, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Young Bucks Lucha Bros in that awesome. Oh, that's a tough one, actually. No. All Out 3, Double or Nothing 4. Then probably Double or Nothing 2020 5.
I love that one. Yeah.
Full Gear 2019 6. Fighter Fest 2019 7. Fight for the Fallen 2019 8. And then All Out 2020 is 9.
Yeah, and what about Full Gear 2019? Sorry, what was that one?
That was 6th, I think. I said.
Six. Yeah.
So
okay,
it goes it goes to Full Gear 2020, Revolution 2020, All Out 2019, Double or Nothing 2019, Full Gear 2019, Double or Nothing 2020, Fight for the Fall. Oh, sorry, Fighter Fest 2019, Fight for the Fallen 2019, and then All Out 2020 is the worst.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I'd say, in terms of like the ones being at the bottom, that's probably the most accurate. The ones at the top is probably very similar as well. Yeah,
I don't know. Fighter Fest and Fight for the Fallen are kind of like.
They were kind of just like these kind of like sort of just general shows.
I think Fighter Fest was better because it had the John Moxley, Joey Janela match on it.
Oh yes, that was good.
And the Lucha Bros 6-man tag was good.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a Darby Allin time limit draw. Because I just remember those matches better. Fight for the Fallen had the tag match, and it kind of had the rushed finish, you know?
Yep, that's right, and all that, yeah. But yeah, so generally, Full Gear, tremendous show. Yeah, the best pay-per-view, I think probably the best pay-per-view they've ever done. And where it leads AEW going into 2021 and the end of the year, Tony Khan in his post-media scrum said, the year's not over. They got some big shit coming up. They've got, for example, apparently some big shows in December that they've got planned for the end of the year. They've also got, at the start of the next year, they've got basically, the Bash at the Beach is becoming, they're actually calling it, I've just got to scroll up to remember what it's called, Beach Break. They're doing an event called Beach Break. So that is the name of Cassie's finisher. So whether that's going to mean anything, it probably very much is. So AEW is, and the thing is they promote their television show on air. On the pay-per-view.
That's right. They hyped up a few men. They even hyped up Tay Conti versus Red Velvet.
It's gonna be a fucking work rate classic. Can't wait. They absolutely they promote their shows really well. They promote their pay-per-views well. This was going against the Biden, sort of like acceptance speech, and just generally the world right now. Everyone's out fucking partying and being irresponsible with COVID in America. So I don't know how this is gonna draw. I really fucking hope it did well because it should, because it's just an unbelievable. It was just an unbelievable show, but I don't know. I don't know how it's going to draw, but I think that it will probably get a lot of post-show buys. That's what I see happening because of the hype.
I saw someone say, November 7th, 2020, the day good stuff started happening again in the world. So,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, hard to disagree. I think it was a very good show. Generally on a good day too. Today was a good day.
There was. Now, there's some good stuff that's coming as well. So we sort of talk a bit generally here as well. We've got the AEW Games announcement coming on Tuesday, so Wednesday for us.
I'm interested to see what that is.
So Tony talked a little bit more about that in the media, and it was actually that AJ Awesome kid that asked the question basically, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm pretty much going to give you the scoop."
Yeah, I like that kid.
So the idea is they're going to be releasing and creating multiple games, and people knew this, but I think that a lot of people didn't as well. So the idea is that they're going to be creating multiple games. There's going to be their flagship, their best in show game, which is the console game, and then they're going to be creating basically an EWR style, you're the booker, you're the general manager game, which people have wanted variations of this and easy to access versions of this general manager stuff for years and years now.
Yeah, I mean, I spent so much time as a kid playing the general manager modes on SmackDown versus Raw.
Me too.
Like that was the only reason I played those games. Actually, was for the GM mode.
Oh, yeah.
I had a great time with that. I remember Brandon Black and I played some of that earlier this year, and it was a lot of fun. So
yeah, that's right.
Can't wait to play that game. I would think that when that game comes out, my entire social life will be disappearing because I will be playing that all the time.
Being able to book your own show, yeah, like it's. I mean, we kind of do that in real life, but like being able to do it with AEW guys, like it's brilliant. And so that'll probably be a mobile game. Like that's probably going to be a mobile game. So very, very likely. So,
well, like the New Japan mobile game that I'm sort of hooked on right now.
Yes, and do you have to log in and tell what you're watching? Do you think you have to do that with AEW?
I mean, the New Japan Pro Wrestling have this game basically that I've been playing a shit ton, where all you do is you just log into it, tell them you're watching the show, you share your location details, and then you get to download like cards for some reason. I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't understand the point of it, but it's fun.
Do you get to use your cards for anything?
No, you don't do anything.
Okay, so at this point, it is complete marketing. It's all it is.
Yes, completely.
I mean, so obviously, probably, that's probably very likely going to come to mobile because that just makes sense. You don't. There's simply not a market for a console game of a booking game. There just isn't. It's just not. That's just not what's happening. And mobile is way easier. It's easy to access. You can do graphics. These days are excellent. So it's not like it's Then as he said, the best in show kind of the main line, the big one is going to be, and he didn't really go into specific detail, but obviously you can ascertain that he's talking about the the WWE 2K style main game. And the fact that he's talked about this means that I'm very, very confident that there will be an actual reveal at this event. This is fucking huge already. We're at the point where we're going to get a game.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for an AEW game because think about the roster they've got. They've got one of the best rosters ever.
Yeah, that's right.
And to be able to play these guys,
and
do so
legends
many
too.
things.
They've probably got a lot of legends they can get access to. And anyone that isn't a WWE legend, like a contracted one, I'm sure they will go all out, intended, and bring a bunch of like other weird legends. Like remember when they did the tribute to Memphis Wrestling? I can guarantee you're going to be able to play as Austin Idol if you really want to.
Probably Bret Hart will be in the game too, and Jake Robert. They could do. They'll have like Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson as like younger people.
Oh, that's going to be so good. Hey, Peter Shipway. How you say hi, Andrew and Angus? Yeah, Peter's long-term gain, short-term, not pain. You're long-term main. But yeah, I'm really excited for the game. I'm really, just like absolutely just this. It's like this product. It feels so hot, right now. Like even though they can't perform at the full capacity that they can. But it's just so fun watching it every week.
Yeah, there's a lot of good buzz around right now. And
right on cue, Peter says, "Love the end of the Dragonfly video." Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've got an Enter the Dragonfly related thing coming up to do with speedrunning. So look forward to that.
Yeah, it's very exciting for that. That should be a lot of fun.
But yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. As I've said, very excited to be an AEW fan right now. AEW Dark is on YouTube if you do want to watch kind of like indie guys face like these established AEW guys. Tony Khan's been recently he's been big upping it. Like he produces all of it, and it's a free show. So if you ever want to sort of get into AEW in that kind of capacity, absolutely give that show a go. I think.
Watch Sammy Guevara vs. Lee Johnson from this week's Dark for a good taste of
the Nightmare Family's Lee Johnson. Yes.
Shoddy Lee.
But yes, it's been a pleasure covering this. It's been a pleasure to know that 393 playbacks have been achieved during this stream. So thank you very much.
Very good.
Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And I'm not going to be like spamming wrestling videos every single day or anything like that. But I really do enjoy covering some of the AEW news and events and stuff like that.
Yeah, look, when stuff like All Out happens, not All Out, when stuff like Full Gear happens, and it's something that is really something that just sort of sparks our imagination and gets us talking and wanting to share our opinions, then we'll probably come back and do like another sort of podcast type thing.
Yeah, I could very much see us doing some stuff for Revolution, and for that matter, considering that both of us are absolute. We're getting the PS5. We are gamers at heart. Obviously, we're on YouTube for gaming. I think that with the AEW game stuff, I actually do think I'm going to be covering that, and you can join me as we cover some more of the game stuff because that is actually relevant to us in more than one way. Super excited for the AEW speed runs. The speed run to beat career mode. It's going to be huge.
Is this our only second video this is not really our first video on AEW on your channel. We did talk about All In, I think, about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's like All In and Why We Love Pro Wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't actually covered anything AEW related.
Fuck. Alright, that's
ever. This is our first time talking about AEW.
Disgraceful. Not the last. Absolutely not.
Anyway, it's a Sunday night. Nintendogen64 has work in the morning, so he must.
It's time to go to bed. Yep, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to bed. All right, thank you guys for watching. What a pleasure it's been, and we will speak to you very soon.
Goodbye and good night, bang.